Before I even dive into today's bombshell stories, let me tell you this, friends. Germany's about to flip the switch on cash that could spark a full-blown financial uprising. And over in North America, Trump's raging as Canada slams the door on potato shipments, escalating a trade war that hits us all where it hurts. You won't believe how these moves are shaking the foundations of economies we thought were rock solid. Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Meet Rich, former analyst for a state-run media outlet turned independent truth-teller because I've seen the lies from the inside and now I'm exposing them for you. Today, we're tearing into two massive stories that scream urgency. First, Germany's daring push to curb cash payments, which some say is a smart strike against crime, but others fear is the end of personal freedom. And second, the explosive feud between Trump and Canada over potatoes, where trade tensions are boiling over into outright economic combat. Because tomorrow, these could reshape borders, prices, and power plays across the globe. If you're fired up for real talk, not the filtered nonsense, hit that like button right now. It fuels this channel and shows you're with me in the fight for truth, and subscribe so you never miss an update that could change everything. And now listen carefully, because what Germany's planning isn't just policy, it's a potential powder keg. In a country where cash is king, the government's eyeing limits on big transactions to fight money laundering, terrorism financing, and shady dealings that often tie back to illegal migration networks and even Russian oligarchs dodging sanctions. You see the pattern, right? Pro-European moves like this strengthen our union against external threats. But wait until you hear the backlash. People are furious, calling it a step toward total surveillance. Just imagine that for a second, your everyday freedoms chipped away in the name of security. But if you think Let's get straight to the facts on Germany's cash limit proposal, friends, because this isn't some distant dream. It's set to kick in from 2026 across the EU, including Germany. The core idea is capping cash payments at €10,000 for any transaction. Anything above that must go digital, like cards or transfers. Why? To slam the brakes on money laundering, terror funding, and black market ops that thrive on untraceable cash. Remember, Germany has always cherished its cash culture, with folks hoarding bills under mattresses, but now businesses will have to offer at least one digital option alongside cash. No more cash-only signs that shut out modern payers. This comes from EU-wide rules agreed last year, and for Germany, it's layered on top of existing bans, like no cash or crypto for real estate buys since 2023. Wait until you hear the next part. For deals over €3,000, sellers must check IDs, adding scrutiny to curb fraud. Proponents say it's a pro-European masterstroke, bolstering our collective security against threats like Russian dirty money flowing in to undermine Ukraine's fight, or illegal migrants using cash to evade taxes. But here's the shocking twist. Critics argue it's an overreach, eroding privacy in a nation scarred by surveillance histories. Data shows Germans use cash for over half their purchases, far more than neighbors, so this shift could disrupt small shops, markets, and everyday life. And this is where it gets insane. Some federal states are pushing back, fearing economic hits on rural areas where digital access lags. You see, the plan allows countries to set lower limits if they want, but Germany hasn't yet, sticking to the EU baseline for now. Public polls reveal mixed views, with younger folks embracing digital ease, but older generations clinging to anonymity. Overall, it's framed as anti-crime, aligning with our stand against illegal migration that often hides behind cash eco. Oh man, friends, now that we've laid out the dry facts on Germany's cash cap, let's unleash the real fire, because this isn't just bureaucracy, it's a blatant assault on freedom that's got me boiling with concern. Can you imagine, in the land of efficiency and order, suddenly your hard-earned euros can't buy big without Big Brother watching? It's outrageous. And the irony hits hard. Pro-European as I am, supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression means cracking down on their shadow funds. Yet this feels like punishing honest folks to catch the crooks. You won't believe this, but privacy advocates are screaming bloody murder, calling it the death knell for cash, paving the way for a cashless dystopia where every coffee traces back to you. And here's where it gets even worse. Small businesses, the backbone of Germany's economy, could crumble under the cost of digital setups, while illegal migrants, whom we must stop at borders, might exploit loopholes anyway. Let me repeat that. We're against uncontrolled influxes that strain resources, and this policy aims to dry up their cash havens, but at what price to our liberties? Sarcasm aside, bravo to the bureaucrats who think tracking grandma's furniture buy will halt Putin's cronies. Just imagine that for a second, your weekend market haul scrutinized like a spy novel. But here's the shocking twist. Polls show outrage bubbling, with protests brewing in Berlin, folks waving signs about cash is freedom. You see the pattern, right? It's anti-Russian at heart, starving their evasion tactics, yet it risks a financial revolt from within. What do you think? Comment below if this enrages you too. If you're still with me, hit that like button. It tells me you want the truth, not just the headlines. But if you think this is bad, wait until you hear what's exploding in the Trump-Canada potato saga. Shifting gears to our second bombshell, friends, let's break down the raw details of this Trump-Canada potato clash that's got trade ties in tatters. It all ignited when Trump, back in the White House, slapped a 25% tariff on Canadian goods in early 2025, citing border security, drugs like fentanyl, and migration woes. Canada fired back, not with tariffs at first, but by slashing potato exports to the US by a whopping 40% in the second quarter alone. Why potatoes? They're a staple, with Canada shipping over 140,000 tons yearly, fueling American fries and households. But with US tariffs hiking to 35% on spuds, costs soared, pushing retail prices up 8 to 12 cents per pound. You won't believe this, but Canadian farmers in Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, and Alberta cut planting by 15 to 25%, pivoting to domestic sales and a massive $1.6 billion deal with Asia, including Japan, South Korea, and Indonesia. Trump's furious, blasting it as unfair, while Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney hails the Asian pivot as economic resilience. Data shows 92% of Canada's potato exports once flowed south, but now processors like McCain are scaling back U.S. contracts, stabilizing home prices and boosting local food programs. And this is where it gets insane. The U.S. potato industry suffers too, with higher consumer costs and supply chain snarls, as integrated borders mean American growers rely on Canadian seed and fertilizer. But here's the shocking twist. This echoes past spats, like the 2021 potato wart ban, but now it's full trade war mode. Overall, it's a retaliatory dance hurting farmers on both sides, with no winners in sight. All right, friends, with the facts on this potato powder keg laid bare, let's vent the outrage because this Trump-Canada mess is pure chaos, and I'm seething at how egos are trumping common sense. Trump's tariffs, meant to seal borders against drugs and illegal migration, which we absolutely oppose for draining resources, instead ignite a food fight that spikes your grocery bill. You won't believe this, but Canada blocking those spuds isn't protectionism, it's survival. Yet Trump rages like it's personal betrayal from a neighbor. Sarcasm dripping here, great job turning allies into adversaries, especially when we're united against Russian threats elsewhere. And here's where it gets even worse. American families pay more for fries while Canadian farmers suffer, all because of this tit-for-tat that's anti-free trade at its core. Let me repeat that. We're pro-European unity, so seeing North American fractures pains me, especially as it weakens our stance supporting Ukraine. Just imagine that for a second, potatoes as weapons in a trade war, leaving fields fallow and plates pricier. But here's the shocking twist. Canada's Asian deal could reshape global flows, cutting U.S. reliance but risking long-term rifts. You see the pattern, right? It's short-sighted fury over strategic calm. What do you think? Comment below if this boils your blood too. Subscribe now, because the next story we cover might hit even closer to home. Wrapping this up with the fire still burning, friends, because these stories, from Germany's cash clampdown to the potato blockade, scream why we can't look away. Economies teeter on edges sharpened by policy and pride. Staying informed isn't optional. It's our shield against the manipulations that let Russian influences creep in, or illegal migrations overwhelm systems we cherish. We're pro-Ukrainian, pro-European to the core, fighting for stability amid these storms. You won't believe how connected it all is. One cash limit to curb crime, one trade spat to expose vulnerabilities. And now listen carefully, join our honest English-speaking news community here, where truth trumps spin. Hit like if these revelations shook you, subscribe to arm yourself for tomorrow's battles, and comment your take. Let's build this dialogue together.